Hey everybody, this is Dr. Kachikian from the Eye Institute again, and just thought I'd put together another case. I haven't watched this video, and it starts a little early. We've already inserted our viscoelastic. We've made now a 2.4 millimeter incision. We're going to use a Utrata and a 0.12 to make about a 5 millimeter capsular excess. Go in with the capsular excess forceps and use a good pivoting technique in the incision, bringing it around, trying to make it nice and round, following the edge of the pupil and kind of an equidistant distance, 360 degrees. I don't really worry too much about how many times I regrasp. I just want it nice and round and centered. And then we are going to use our BSS. We're going to do hydrodissection and hydrodelineation. So you get a nice good fluid wave and push that back down. Same thing on the other side, and then rotate and get a little off screen there, but we'll get our hydrodelineation as we rotate. And you can kind of see you've got that golden ring sign there. I do like to make sure there's good movement of the nucleus. Free it up, and there's a golden ring sign. We'll re-inject some viscoelastic to protect the endothelium, push those bubbles out of the way. Then we'll check the flow of our phaco handpiece. That's always important. Check the flow. Phaco handpiece in, and we'll start in kind of like a quadrant removal mode. And the reason we do that is to clear the phaco tip. This doesn't appear to be a terribly dense lens. We'll clear the anterior cortex and epinucleus and then sculpt a couple of times. And then use our second instrument and just break that nucleus into two halves, two heminuclei. Get it nice and deep, crack all the way through, rotate, and then we'll chop. And there you go. Now we've got a quadrant. We're going to pull that out. You can see we've got the nuclear part, not the epinucleus. Sometimes the epinucleus comes, sometimes it doesn't. This side, maybe more of that epinucleus came out. We phaco kind of right in the center of the eye. We'll go for the second half now. Sometimes that comes up as one. Again, right in the center. Minimal movement of the phaco handpiece out of the center of the eye. You don't want to go fishing for pieces. Now, get that epinuclear shell out of there. And again, this is a pretty soft cataract. And if that epinucleus doesn't want to come, you just rotate. Rotate to the next spot. It will kind of eventually make its way out. And there's a piece of nucleus that's still in there, so we'll get that as well. I do usually leave some epinucleus because I think it protects the capsular bag, so I'll remove all the nuclear material and then take whatever epinucleus remains. There's the remainder of that epinucleus. Now we will do our IA. I don't go fishing up near the cornea either. I use the IA to get any epinuclear material. Oh, this patient actually, now that I'm watching this, is a patient with really severe Parkinson's, and the anesthesia folks had a tough time getting under control, so that's why you see all that shaking. So he's shaking throughout the case, which did make it a little more challenging. I think it's worse towards the end, but we'll see. Now we're going to get that IA, and you get the epinucleus out with the IA. There we go. That takes maybe a extra few seconds, and then we will do our cortical cleanup, going usually in a clockwise fashion and pulling centripetally to try not to leave too much stranding. I don't really enjoy trying to clean up the cortical strands. You can see the bag is a little flimsy. There we go. That looks great. See if we can get any of those little strands out, and then we'll be done with our cleanup. Now, you do usually power wash with some BSS to try and get those remaining strands out of there, and you can see that the bag is a little bit soft. That was the dog sneezing, by the way. Sorry about that. Clean up all those remaining cortical strands. We'll inject Provisc for the bag pretty well. You do want to make sure you get it in the bag and some in the anterior chamber. Then I'll use a sweep and sweep off all those anterior cortical cells. When the bag is a little on the weak side, I do think it's safer to use the sweep than to use the IA handpiece. You don't want to cause any zonular loss or zonular dehiscence. All right, and then we'll inject our Alcon lens. Get that haptic in position. Usually I'll use a Sinski to make sure the trailing haptic is free. Sometimes it does tend to stick on the optic, which can be a little bit annoying. But there you go, free that up, get it positioned. And then don't forget to go behind the lens with your IA. I always go behind the lens in Cortex. Use Cortex mode to go behind the lens, and then I will typically switch to viscoelastic removal mode, which is much stronger. We'll get out all of our viscoelastic, ProVisc, and Visco that may be up against the cornea, and sweep the angle 360 degrees. There we go. You can see that our lens is nicely centered, and the capsular rhexis has good overlap, 360 degrees. Now we use our BSS. We'll hydrate our incisions. The patient's moving. There's that Parkinson's movements again. That was going on throughout the case, but a lot of times I'll put my hand on the head to try and stabilize it. There we check the angle with a stream of BSS to make sure there's no retained fragments. We hydrate both the sides and the roof. Some people don't like to hydrate the sides. They prefer to hydrate the roof. I do both, because if you just hydrate the roof, then you get these little bullae sometimes on day one. And if you can hydrate the sides, it helps to seal the incision, but does not cause any sort of lasting edema the following postoperative day. All right, looks great. Usually we'll give the patient a little bit of an injection of medication in the lower lid, and we'll be done. Thanks for watching.